Magic the Gathering was the first trading card game.
Dr. Richard Garfield, a mathematics professor, is the game's inventor.
I wanted a game where there were things that people loved and hated, rather than a world where everybody was okay with everything.
The idea that you would have a card game where it wasn't the same cards every time.
We should have been a lot more scared than we were.
Magic was a big risk for Wizards of the Coast.
He's made promises, he's co-signed loans, the company's on the line.
Was there a backup plan?
No, there's no backup plan.
If Magic the Gathering failed, then we were done.
Magic the Gathering is a card game where you and your friend play wizards. There's a huge universe of cards. There's hundreds and hundreds of cards.
Maybe even 100,000 cards at this point.
Felt like I could make an unlimited amount of them.
The funny thing is, none of us knew how to play.
It is insanely complex. Like a lot of rules.
Different every time, and that if you play it once, the second time you play it, the third time you play it, it's just going to keep on changing.
No chainmail bikinis was a rule.
I wanted to see strong women. I wanted to see bad women.
Magic is the upper echelon of fantasy art. All the great artists are doing work on Magic.
Every day was like Christmas. And it consistently blew my mind.
Stores started popping up just to feed that demand.
This is what over 1 million Magic cards looks like.
The most expensive card, as anyone will tell you, is a Black Lotus.
You might be willing to pay $300 to $500.
It's crack. They had to keep it off the counters because people would steal it.
We were all in. All our chips on the table.
I had never conceived of having that much money.
Richard and I were the great partnership. He brought genius, and I brought luck.
We knew we had lightning in a bottle.
Boom, it takes off.
This really could work. This could be big.
Hey everyone, welcome to All Access Art, episode 5. It's actually episode 6, since episode 5 was live last month. I'm Tatiana, I'm your host. We're doing something a little different today that I'm really, really excited about, and you'll learn more about why I'm so excited about it as we go. So my guest today is one of my Magic the Gathering buddies, Seth Polansky, and we're going to be talking about this incredible new documentary that just came out. It premiered at Gen Con last week. It won an award. Spoiler alert, I'm in it. And Seth's here to talk with us about it today. So Seth, tell us a little bit about you, your role in the film, and what this film is that we're talking about today.
All right, folks. I'm Seth Polansky. I am one of the producers of the film. In addition to 1/3 of the company that made the film, I am back office legal support. I am I am on location audio. I am post-production audio. So basically, I run a law firm. I'm an audio guy and a Magic nerd, in not necessarily that order. So, how deep are we going with this question? Because this question could go all the way back to like 2015 or so.
I mean, I think if there's anything else you want to share, you're welcome to, but we certainly don't need to get into the weeds.
So, all right. Yeah. Run a law firm, play Magic, make movies. That's what you need to know about me. I really enjoy all things geeky and dorky. My wife, Kelly, who is not with us today, but is here in spirit. I will show you how and why she's here in spirit later. But she is another third of the production company. And then our third partner is Brian Stillman, who is our he shoots everything. He is an amazing videographer, and he does a lot of work for the Nacelle Company. They are a distributor. You've seen his work on The Toys That Made Us, The Movies That Made Us, all of these other nostalgia kind of shows, programs, movies type things.
So the documentary is about Magic the Gathering. It's called Igniting the Spark. Yes, that's what we're here for today. So obviously you've mentioned that you're a Magic player. You're into all things nerdy. What made you decide to do a documentary about the creation of Magic in particular?
So this is that story that goes back to 2015. My wife and I made this movie about Dungeons and Dragons. It was of Dice and Men, and we were showing it at a convention, and we met this short little guy who was really excited about our D&D movie. And he was showing his movie at this convention as well, called Plastic Galaxy, The Story of Star Wars Toys. So that's where we met Brian, and we just kind of hit it off. And, we rekindled his love in Dungeons and Dragons. And just a year after that, we decided, hey, you know what? Let's make a D&D art movie, right? We love D&D. Just talking about the entire history of D&D would be way too much. Like that, you can't do that in a documentary. That would just be, way too much. There's several novels in series, published about Dungeons and Dragons. So we decided, okay, we'll just do the art of Dungeons and Dragons. And that took us a couple of years. It was received really well. It's done really well for us. People seem to really like it. And we were trying to figure out what's next. And I mean, really, after you've met all the people at Wizards of the Coast and all the artists and all of the people behind Dungeons and Dragons and D&D art, obviously your next choice is going to be Magic the Gathering, right? There's not really any choice there. And hey, if we thought D&D was going to be too big a movie, Magic, you can fit that all in 1 2-hour documentary, no problem. That was obviously ridiculously wrong, and we regret that particular choice, but I think we've made an amazing product regardless. So that's sort of how we came about, how this whole process came about, right? It started because we are nerds, we like making nerd movies, and we love the stuff that we make movies about.
Yeah, and I think, timing wise is so fantastic. I mean, Magic the Gathering is just the biggest game out there when you're looking at paper, not video game, kind of related stuff. And we were getting so many more and more new fans every day with all the different sets that are coming out and feeding into a lot of other fandoms. So I think the timing is perfect. And I mean, obviously I'm a Magic nerd, so couldn't have been a better choice for me. Of all of the things, so, we're not going to tell everybody everything about the documentary. Obviously you need to see it. It's fantastic. But I know you all had a lot of footage and a lot of interviews. And what was the core of, this is the most important thing that I want the viewer to walk away with when we're done putting this movie together?
There's a line, and I think we actually have it in the trailer. I almost jumped up and down and clapped my hands with glee when Richard Garfield said it during the interview. And the line is, I wanted to make a game where there were things that people loved and absolutely hated about the game and make people still want to play it. And it is that game, right? If you've ever played against a discard deck, if you've ever played against, stacks decks, right? God, you hate it, but you still want to play the game, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yep.
Just getting that the creator of the game intended for you to feel those feelings, but still love the game, and getting that out there into the public and having people understand that this is why we're so obsessed with the game. It's because we love it and we hate it in equal amounts.
So next time somebody gets mad at me for playing Nekuzar, so Seth knows Nekuzar is my pet commander deck. I have several at this point, but I've been playing Nekuzar since the card came out in 2013. It's a deck that I tweak every set that comes out. And people hate it because it's discard and all of these other things. I like winning games in ways that are different than just combat damage. And so the next time somebody gets upset with me for playing that deck, I'm going to look at them and I'm going to say, I am playing Magic the way Richard Garfield intended.
No, you're playing Magic one of the ways.
One of the ways, yes. But that's one of the quotes you'll hear in the community is, the way Richard Garfield intended. So reminding people that it is. It's a very polarizing game, and that's part of what makes it so big and so fun.
Remind me, I'll bring Tegrid, and we can have a Tegrid Nekuzar match, and that will be just so much fun for everyone at the table.
Yeah. We've had some pretty epic games. I've talked a few times about there's another thing everybody hates in Magic. It's called Mill. So essentially you lose your library. I just built a Mill deck too with one of the new Final Fantasy commanders, but we were playing on a live stream and we had a player who was playing a Mill deck and just all the fun shenanigans and stuff that we got to. I ended up being the savior of the table because I just kept putting everybody's cards back in their library. So
I play an Eldrazi in every deck just for that reason. Yeah. Literally just for that reason.
I got to shuffle it back now. I got to shuffle it back.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a great point to bring up about the game, and I was really glad that he said that too. That was intended from the very beginning for the game to have that very polarizing feel. It really makes you feel more competitive, and really want to get out there and let me play that again. Right? It doesn't make you want to give up. It's just the right amount of I can't believe I lost to that, so let me not lose to it next time. Right? And getting that in there. So I know that when I talked to Brian, when we were at a LuxCon last year, he mentioned the just vast amounts of footage you had and how much you've had to reduce that. So tell us a little bit about how much you started with, how much you ended with, and what the hardest cut was for you personally of the things that had to be taken out of the film.
So we've got an hour and a half movie, an hour and 40 minutes ish, right? That's what our distributor required of us. They said, this is the length of movie we want. So that length is shorter than one of our interviews, right? Yep. We did 70 plus interviews, two cameras, 4K footage on each interview. So that's 6 hours, usually around 6 hours per interview. 6 times 70 is what? 6 times 7 is 42, add a 0. 420 hours of footage. My lovely wife has to know where in that 620 hours of footage one person says one thing from what angle.
Wow.
And that was a lot. Just the storage solution for that is something like, I think we're at 74 terabytes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we spent $10,000 just on storage solutions for this, right? And they have to be fast storage solutions because you need to access it to edit the film. So, or unless you want to do proxies, and that's a whole nother thing, and half the time doesn't work right. But anyway, there was a lot of footage. And I mean a lot of footage. One of the things I do want to mention, and hopefully we can clip this and send it out to all of our friends, family, and others who didn't make it into the final cut. We promise we didn't cut you out intentionally. We promise that we did not interview you intentionally. 70 people is a lot of people. And, if we interviewed everybody, it would have been 300, right? Or 400. There's just no way we could have done that. We had to make choices. And in a lot of ways, we made choices that were best for the narrative of the film, not just our personal relationships, right? There are a lot of artists that are annoyed with us that they weren't in it or they were cut from it. And while we love these people, we love their art. And there is a artist feature that will be in our extras on the Blu-ray for our Kickstarter backers. But we had to make a lot of choices. And that leads me to the thing that I am most sad about is that I interviewed John Avon on one of his last trips and I couldn't use any of it. And John is a great interview subject, right? The thing I am most sad about is the fact that I didn't get John Avon in the film. He will be in the extras, in the artist extras, but that is one of the things that I am most sad about the film, right? Yeah. He's just a fun guy to talk to, and the stories he has are great. But they're his stories about magic. They're not stories about magic writ large, right? And they're great. His stories are great, but there's only so much that we can do.
Yeah, I know there were entire threads of things that we talked about in my interview that just none of those topics were even discussed because you had to be really narrow in what you're talking about, and you have to pick things that make sense for the narrative you're telling. I had a lot of anxiety. I was like, I'm going to get cut. I'm going to get cut.
Please don't be yeah. But it's funny to hear you say that because we don't think about that. We can't think about it, right? It is not, it would kill us while we're editing if we think about things like, we can't cut our friend. We have to put this person in, even if they don't say something that advances the narrative. Right? Mm-hmm. If we do that, we're going to make a crappy product. We're going to make a crappy movie.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how we think about it.
No. Well, and I will say I would have not been in any way offended or upset if you had cut me. I would have completely understood.
Kelly, we can make another cut. No, sorry. No, I'm just done.
But, and that being said, I'm in it, but I'm just one of these. If you add up all of my time for the whole thing, it's maybe 30 seconds. I'm just kind of woven in little pieces here and there as it makes sense for the narrative.
But think about that for a second, right? 70 interviews. If we give every one of those 70 interviews 30 seconds, right? That's like half the movie.
Yeah.
Right? So, there are some people that are in there for one shot. They say one thing, and that contributed to advancing the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we used, right? They probably said every interview had really interesting things. A lot of them had really funny things. Like, oh, that is hilarious. I would love to put that in, but it's just funny. It's not advancing the story we're trying to tell. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't envy the position of having to take all of that incredible content, and having to shave that down to telling a story that could be an entire TV series. It could be, so much more. So trying to take all of that and choosing a narrative must have been incredibly difficult. So I certainly don't envy that.
And that's all on Kelly. I mean, but one thing people don't realize is that you don't know the story of your documentary when you go in. You have no idea what the real story is going to be, right? You hope you have some idea, right? We had some idea, but we didn't know what the actual story was going to be. And documentaries are created in the edit, right? The movie is created in the edit. That's all on Kelly. Like, her job was to edit it together and tell us a story, right? Brian's was shooting it. Mine was doing the back end stuff and collecting the audio and mixing the audio, which is, those two things are important, right? But she made the story. She built the story. And, Brian and I were sort of in a lot of ways relegated to yes or no, right? It was just, do we like this or not like it? Because if you start getting multiple people mucking around in an edit, unless you're a huge company with server rooms and everybody's networked in, you're not going to edit with more than one person on it, right? Like that way invites madness. It invites insanity. So it was really all on her shoulders. And I think she did an amazing job.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a huge level of artistry there that I don't think people realize. It's not like somebody at work sends you an email and they go, hey, can you edit this? I mean, it's imagine like all this raw material and an artist like envisions the statue that they're going to sculpt out of that. And that's kind of what it feels like to me. It's how do you take all of that and create something that is engaging and interesting and, she does an amazing job of making that story. I mean, when we watched it yesterday, right, the two of the three of us are Magic nerds, but Joe's mom is not, she knows what it is, but she's never played it. She's not interested in it. And so she was the best test, right, at the end of it. Well, was that interesting to you? And do you understand what this is? And to get that feedback, this was really great. It was, really well done. And I really liked the story and the interviews. That's just incredibly difficult to do. And just, I just can't even imagine like that level to be able to see that vision of where you want to go with something and to be able to complete all of that.
In that whole realm of things people don't realize about making a documentary film, remember when I talked about that, 140 hours of footage? When you shoot a narrative film, you have a script, right? And you might have 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, maybe even shots, right? Takes of each shot.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, you're going to come out with maybe 3.5 to 4 to 5 hours of footage. And you don't make the story in the edit. The story is there in the script, right? Mm-hmm. You just choose the shot that's the best and conveys the emotion and whatever, and you assemble it that way. And that's not to say that narrative editors are any less important. It's just the heavy lifting for documentary film is in that part, right? The heavy lifting for a narrative film is in the script writing and the shooting of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's from my perspective. But again, everybody is intensely creative and important in no matter what you're doing. But I just wanted to make that difference between, a doc editor and a narrative feature editor, right? 50 hour, 140 hours, 5 hours choosing shots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have a friend who's been getting into doing documentaries, and their first one was, about 10 minutes long, and people have no idea, just the massive amount of work. And they had to find storage solutions for that. And it was just based on a story of one person. Right. It's just an insane amount of work. And I can't even imagine trying to do that. And I know, a lot of studios have the much larger team, a lot of other stuff going on. And so to be able to do this, in the window that it was done.
Oh, archival footage, right? Like one of the reasons that, and I have to thank Lisa Stevens, who was employee number 1 at Wizards and who ran Paizo for years and is now retired. But were it not for, she handed us a banker's box filled with gold. It was a banker's box filled with VCR tapes from the early days of Wizards, right? I have goosebumps when I tell this story.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is literally, it was gold. And I spent the first summer of COVID sitting here, right here in this studio with a VCR capture device, just capturing all of those videos, right? That's probably another 150 hours of footage, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There was a huge variety of archival footage in this as well.
Yeah. Oh God. And here, I'll even, another one that I'm so sad that I had to cut. There is Peter Atkinson, the CEO of Wizards of the Coast, crying, accepting an award at a business leaders of Seattle meeting, right? Right after Wizards had started to take off, he was accepting a, best new business in Seattle award. And it's him saying, crying, saying, our little game company's taking off. And I had to cut that. And it just kills me that I had to cut that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you had to make incredibly hard choices. If you wanted to keep in everything you wanted to keep in, it would just be,
20 hours.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry. Yes, we are going to do that thing. We're going to go way over. So
yeah.
Yep. And by the way, I need to do a shout out here to Mary Hawkins. She is Brian's wife. She is the now official 4th member of the team. She is our art director, and she is responsible for that look and feel of the 80s, 90s rock magazine vibe, and
nice.
the animations. So I need to actually basically shout her out and say, yes, Mary is the 4th member of the team.
Nice.
So if you saw the movie, or if you're going to see the movie, give Mary some props for all of the animation stuff you see, because it's amazing.
The animation really ties everything together. I mean, there are stories, thinking about some, again, I'm not going to spoil things for people, but some of the stories that Peter's telling, that the animation, that just makes it. It absolutely makes it. It's a great story, but if we were just looking at Peter and having a discussion, it wouldn't convey just any near as well as it did. That's an inside joke. You will all know once you watch it.
You'll see it once, yeah.
So yeah, that was really the, that glue, right? And so shout out to Mary. You are awesome. That was very cool. Really enjoyed that. I don't know if we mentioned the name of the production company. It's Cave Girl Production.
There's 2. It's Cave Girl Productions is Kelly and mine, and then X-Ray Films is Brian and Mary, and together we are Igniting the Spark LLC.
Thank you for the legal there, Seth. That was good.
Oh, you have no idea how many LLCs we now own. Like literally, it's the law firm, it's Cave Girl. Each movie is an LLC to separate P&L centers and risk centers and blah blah blah.
So this is what Seth does for you guys who are like, well, how does he? Not only is Seth not only is Seth an attorney, but specifically works in these types of areas, and so knows more about it, not just than all of us, but also more than other attorneys would.
Yeah, I mean, my practice is pretty much based on creatives, right? Like my clients are illustrators, production companies, adult actors, content creators. Like that is my bread and butter, right? Like the people who are making creative things out there in the world for people to look at. So.
Yeah, and it's an invaluable resource. Seth's done several talks at a LuxCon about essentially why you need LLC and protecting yourself and all of those other things. So if you're ever at the show and that's being offered, definitely take it. I've tried to go a couple times. It's always good information and also very engaging.
I will happily sit and talk about this stuff anytime, day or night. So if you show up with a bottle of bourbon, I will happily talk with you about this stuff if you share your drink.
Yes. And if you bring a magic deck too, I mean, that's even better. That's even better. So we're just going to segue a little bit. One of the things that really struck me in the documentary, and I don't want to give a lot of things away, but Magic is was a groundbreaking product, and a big part of that was having cards and having these art on the cards, right? Having this creature or this artifact or whatever it is represented by this image. And Peter talks in the documentary about how that was a big part of the discussion about the early part of the game. He felt that was really important to kind of portray that story. And Richard talked about when they were doing play testing and other things that he found that the art was really important in helping people to understand how the game works and having that visual component versus just having a card with a lot of text on it. So the art in the game has been important since its very inception. It wasn't something that was accidental or added later. It was part of the creation from the ground up. And then of course we have, Jesper to thank so much for just the mindset of all of that. And I will let him speak for himself in the documentary as to why he did a lot of the things that he did. But of course, a huge shout out to him for that, the vision. So Magic has become a very visual game. Every player, regardless of whether an art collector or just a regular Magic player, has their favorite art, has their favorite stories and things. So I think we've seen this community grow. We have, a really large art market now for Magic art collectors. What do you think it is that is special about Magic art? What is it that resonates with people that is getting so many people interested in the art piece and is causing the art market of it to explode so much?
From my perspective, right, I'm going to answer this as a player, not a filmmaker, not an attorney, not whatever. I'm going to be just some dude who plays Magic. Holy crap, I can own the painting of the things I'm playing with. Like that's astounding, right? How many people grew up, I own the cover of this Monopoly box, or I own the cover of this, romance novel or whatever, right? It is number one, this beautiful way to express how much you love about the game by owning some of the art. But even more so, it's a little less so as we keep going, but it is still affordable to some people, right? To a lot of people, not to everybody. That has changed, right? When I first started buying things, I could buy a painting, whatever. I am priced out of the market in a lot of ways right now. So that's a thing. You can discuss that, or we can discuss it if we want, but it is still relatively accessible. Like you can still buy a sketch, right? You can buy the sketch of the card pretty inexpensively. So it's a way to express your love of the game in a physical product that isn't a print, right? Something that is a piece of the history of the game, because it will always be a piece of the history of the game that will never change. It can't change, right? And I mean, a lot of it's just cool art, right? Mm-hmm. It's just cool. It is. Those are really the reasons that I like it as a player. I could go down a certain person's route and be like, well, I could corner the market on this particular kind of art and make it an investment. And I think to some extent, Magic art is an investment, right? Mm-hmm. There are cards that are not going to decrease in value, right? Like Sol Ring is never going to, the original Sol Ring is never going to decrease in value. Mm-hmm. Black Lotus painting is never going to decrease. Like, it's just not. And some of them aren't the greatest paintings, but it is because they are so integral to the history and the mythology of this game. That's where their value comes from, right? So where are we going with it? Where am I going with this?
I was asking about why you think the market's exploding, but I'm thinking I actually want to back up for a second.
Sure.
What do you think it is about the art that speaks to people? Because even though the art's changed a lot over the years, it has always spoken to people since day one. So what is it? What's that magic sauce that really gets people excited?
I am going to take this back to the most difficult or the most important thing. Sorry, I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to tie this back to what I said about Richard Garfield earlier in the discussion. And that was Richard wanted there to be things that people loved and hated about the game. I will spoil another quote from the movie, and it is Jesper saying he would rather that there be art that people loved and people hated rather than have it be this bland, homogenous thing. And I think that's sort of the key, right? I think Jesper's the key here because it wasn't just one style, right? There are all kinds of things in Magic. There are people that love the Foglio's work, right? There are people that hate it. There are people that love really hyper-realistic things. There are people that hate it. So there's this huge, broad panoply of different kinds of it's all imaginative realism, right? I mean, some of it is landscape, some of it is whatever, but functionally it's all imaginative realism. And there's just this whole huge, broad landscape of types of art, right? Even the secret layers we're getting now with some of the crazy ass comic artists, and like that stuff is cool as hell, right? It's not traditionally Magic, but it's still pretty freaking cool.
So to me, part of what I'm getting from this is, the game was designed from the beginning for you to make and play decks that speak to you as a player and how you like to play. And with there being such a wide variety and different types of art and art choices, that you can align some of those things as well. These are the things that, I like this version of a card or these other things because this art speaks to me. And that doesn't have to speak to everybody in the same way.
Agreed. And, I've got friends that won't build a deck unless they have enough swamps of the exact same art and edition to have that all the deck with those swamps, right? That sort of thing. So, it is, I think at its core, it's personal expression, right? It allows you to express who you are, or who you want to be, or what you want your deck to be about. And it allows you to, sort of put like any good art, right? It allows you to put yourself in, what was this person thinking or feeling? What is the zombie master in beta thinking when he's, pointing with some other zombies, right? Like silly things like that. But it allows you to almost tell a story, right? That's what good art does. It is telling you a story in one little, 3x4 inch or 3x3 inch square. And good artists do that, right? That's what we love about it. The other thing is, to take it back to the design part of it and the, why did it make the game take off? The ability to be able to play with somebody who doesn't speak your language because you know what that card does because of the art that's really key in a lot of ways to why Magic became what it is, right? To be able to sit down with an Italian player, I don't speak Italian, but I know what that card does. Doesn't matter. We don't have to speak the same language, but we do speak the same language because we play Magic.
Yeah.
Right. And that is something really special, right? That had not been done before. That had not been a thing that existed in the world.
Which is why we have rules in Magic. Like, for those who don't know, Magic is printed in several different languages, Italian being one of them. And one of the things that is cool is if you have a German version or an Italian version or something of a card in your deck, that's totally legal. As long as as long as you can say this is what the card says. Obviously they can check you. But part of the reason we're allowed to have that is because you look at that card and you know what it is.
Now we could go down the other little branching avenue there of how many versions of this card are there now?
Yes, that could be an entire show. There's a reason why, like on Arena, you can click a button that says "Don't show any alt art for anything."
I did not know that existed. That's funny.
Yeah, there's a whole when you're playing against somebody, they can have whatever they want in their deck, whatever versions, and you can have a filter that essentially says, "I only want to see the base version of everything." And the game does that. Obviously, you can't do that in real life, but that is a point of contention for a lot of people, right? So yeah, so we won't go down that rabbit hole too much, but yeah, things are definitely different than they used to be. But I think there is the plus side of the fact that by having different versions of something that you are speaking to more people. By having 5 different versions of something, you might love the anime version of it, or maybe you love the variant, like super, fantasy
the Gay Pride
style
deck. I have a Gabe Rose deck, a Kaneo Sentiro deck, and I put Bearscape in because I love the fact that I have a bunch of bears lounging around in a hot tub in my Gabe Rose deck. That's awesome. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, and so it's stuff like that. They know that speaks to us. We like the personalization of things. And the thing with the art is it's not, I mean, it is nice to have, the cover of a book that you own or other things like that. But to me anyway, with playing Magic, this isn't just a thing that I have a card of. This is a card I play. This is like almost a representation of me, right? It's something that I interact with on a regular basis. And so it creates this deeper attachment to this art than you might see on something else, like a nice cover for a magazine or something like that, like Inquest. Oh, nice cover. But you're not going to get that same emotional attachment that you would get with a card that you've been playing in a deck for years.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. There are just some things you see and it brings back, like I remember stupid Zephyr Falcon. Nobody plays with it. But when I learned to play Magic, the day I learned to play Magic, I was like, oh, it flies and it doesn't tap, like, right? Mm-hmm. But I will forever remember that stupid image of that white and blue falcon thing.
Yeah, when I got back into Magic, so I've played Magic off and on over the years. Started when I was a kid, like when it first came out. But last time I got back into Magic was during Return to Ravnica. So that was actually quite a long time ago. But I've been playing all the way since then without stopping. And one of the cards that got me back into the game was Gutter Snipe. and Gutter Snipe is it's a goblin, and it does what red does. It does damage and things. And I loved the idea of this, fun ability that it had. And so when I got into collecting Magic art, that's the very first piece I bought. And that piece is like, I've had several people ask if I don't want to sell it. There's a huge emotional attachment for that.
Yeah. All right, there it is.
Yeah. Yes.
That stupid Zephyr Falcon.
Like, what? That flies? No way.
Yep. And like, I will know that image. If I see that image, like, I don't know, on a dusty magazine cover in the back of a thrift store, I will know what it is.
You'll be 90 years old in a nursing home, and someone will walk up to you, hey, Seth, and you just all of a sudden come to.
They'll snap me. Zephyr Falcon will snap me out of the fugue state.
Yes, exactly. So you're a bit of a collector.
Hold on, before we do that, right? That really does speak to the power of this stuff, right? That is it in a nutshell. I can look at this, 30 years from now, I will know exactly what it is. So anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And what other images are seared in our brain to that level, right? It's almost like a movie poster of your favorite movie when you were a kid. I mean, for something to have that level of nostalgia takes a lot.
Right next to the, I am a child of the 80s and 90s, and it is in my memory right next to the Pamela Anderson Baywatch poster.
Yeah. And, there's not a lot of things in this world that make it into kind of our long-term, like that core memory. And so it says so much about the game to have that. And that's tied to those images. I mean, it absolutely is. So the market, you mentioned that collecting Magic art used to be a lot cheaper. Yes, I can speak to that too. I've kept some of the old pricing booklets that I'd gotten from artists. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't need this anymore. It's old. I'm like, no, I'm keeping this because this is gold. Because showing it to people every once in a while just to get them to freak out a little bit's fun. But the market has grown. I mean, just leaps and bounds. The number of people who are interested in collecting Magic art. Obviously, one of those things I think is people aging into it, right? So when you look at when people started playing, there's a sweet spot of when people get old enough to have money to go back and buy the stuff that they wanted, right, when they were kids. Yep. So there's that sweet spot. But there's more to it, right? There's more than just I'm this age and I started playing Magic when I was this age. What do you think it is? Like, why are so many people all of a sudden, you mentioned the investment piece, but why Magic and why now?
Because it's quality art. I mean, Donato paints like an old master, right? If I could have a Donato piece hanging on my wall, like, it is the equivalent of me having a Rembrandt on my wall if I were, a noble back then. Like, it is that. If you don't know how good some of these Magic artists are, you're missing out, right? Like, if you're watching this podcast, but there are a lot of people who have no idea. And
it transcends, right? It transcends.
Yeah, it's just good art. Not only that, but you have the, the quality of the piece, right? The work. You have the pop culture significance. You have the personal significance to the game that you love, right? And you start to combine all those three things. And then the investment part of it, right? Like, if you combine all of those four things together, that's a great recipe for, call it an addiction, call it a whatever, but it's a great recipe for like a thing you love, right?
Yeah,
So
I own Donato's painting for Thousand Year Storm, and I don't have it here since I'm not, in a permanent
you told me
location.
that was sold, by the way, before it was done. Is that true?
It's sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So he held on to it to show at a LuxCon and stuff. I was like, yeah, that's fine. It's one of my favorite pieces. I absolutely love it. That's a piece that if somebody walked into my house and had no idea what Magic was, or that I played Magic or any of that stuff, they would look at it and, wow, this is really beautiful, because it's so much more than just an illustration on a card.
Yeah. Where is it? I'll do it again. I own 2 copies of Exsanguinate, 2 original paintings of Exsanguinate, the original, and hold on, I'm going to bring it up.
So
Steve,
Seth is a mono black player for anybody who hasn't put these pieces together yet.
Not always.
But that's kind of your pet. I play all the colors too, but you kind of have your pet colors. And so,
so here we go. Oops, sorry, wrong. There we go. I'll go to the side there. Here's all the copies of Exsanguinate. That token there, this thing. Wow, look at that. I got to rotate that. So that Scott Fisher. Yep, he and I bartered for some legal services but so that is hanging right under, across the room from the original Exsanguinate. And of course, I'm buying these things because I love the card. I play the card in, it's a game. It's a finisher, right?
It is. It's an excellent card.
And
as long as you're not on the receiving end of it, it's an excellent card.
Right. Particularly if you're doing black math for how much mana you have, right? Oh, I double it there. I double it there. I double it there. Everybody loses 43. I gain 140 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing Magic like Richard Garfield intended, right there. All that math.
So it's funny. I actually have, when we do our live streams for Magic the Gathering, I'll add Coven MTG. We'll share all the links at the end. But we play Magic live 2 nights a week with me and my friends group. Started during COVID. We never stopped, and it's just a lot of fun. And whenever anybody's doing anything like that, I literally have the beautiful mind with the strings going and whatever. It's just a little thing that an image I flash over the screen when people are trying to do the math for however much mana they're making, or for when someone's trying to storm off and they're trying to do their storm count.
Sometimes just to mess with people, I'll just start playing a new game and I'll be like, storm count 1, not playing a storm count deck. You just, if you start off doing it when you don't need to do it, then when you do need to do it, it won't, they won't catch on.
People will get so annoyed.
Yeah. So, what's the one piece of Magic art that if somebody just were going to walk up to you right now and be like, here, Seth, here you go. What would that one piece be?
I'm not going to say it because he's going to watch this and he's going to jack the price up.
Does the collector own it?
Yeah.
Mine's owned by the artist still. He knows I want it. So
I'll tell you what it is after.
Okay.
And I could have bought it for like $4,000 like 6 years ago, and it's way more than that now.
Yeah. 6 years ago to now, prices have a huge difference.
Yeah. No, they really do. I mean, yeah. Let's go back to the whole personal connection thing, right?
Yeah.
I brought some stuff out. Like, we can't not show the stuff that I brought out.
Yes, please do. Yeah. So Seth brought something specifically. And when you show the APs, I want to talk a little bit about that market as well. So
sure.
But yeah, so personal connections. So sometimes the personal connections with the artist, right?
Yes. So this one is my good friend Chris Burdett. And, I don't particularly love pufferfish, right? But Chris is a friend, and he said, all right, I will give you the art, basically the pictures I took of myself. And that's me. He is the pufferfish.
I love
So
that.
I actually had the original art framed with the pictures of him doing the poses.
And so that personal story, I mean, that just makes it, right? I mean, that card's from an unset. It's not like a card that you're ever going to be playing with in anything. But having that story and then having the photos, it just makes it. And that personal connection. Anytime
anyone comes to my house and they're looking on the walls and they see I know the second they see that piece, because there's a laugh that comes from that side of the room. As soon as they saw it, I'm like, they saw the Chris Burdett piece.
Yeah.
Right. And that is that's that personal connection. That is the thing, right? That at least one of them that we love about collecting Magic art and collecting Magic cards and playing and all that stuff. The other thing I wanted to show you is there's a joke in my house between me and my wife that some men buy their wives jewelry. Well, I buy 5/5 demon tokens of my wife. So let's see. Let's make sure we're not all... yeah, there we go. So there we go. And they're not all demon tokens of Kelly. There's a couple of fun ones in there. You know, that one, actually, Matt Stewicki did that one.
Nice.
It's just holy shit, right? 5/5, and they're all on the back of artist proofs. These two are by Donato, and you know, this is me beheading my wife, and that's my wife beheading me, right? So yeah, it's just a fun way to you know. There's my Anson Maddox, 5/5 Kelly Demon token.
I see some RK post up there.
Yep.
Yeah, and we've talked about APs briefly on the show before, but most sets artists get 50 of the regular version of the card and then 30 foils, and then the artist proofs are blank on the back. So that Magic logo and all stuff that's normally on every card is not there. And so collectors collect them. Some people just collect the card, signed or whatever. But it's just such a perfect place to get original art done. And so there's an entire community of people who collect artist proofs. And for people who really love Magic art and want to get into it and can't necessarily afford, you know, the whole, you know, buying a full painting or other things, it can be a really great way to collect it and still have a wonderful collection. On CAF Plus, we refer to that as wallet power. all the card art.
So there's Donato's dragon on the back of his Shivan dragon.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing, so people can see exactly what we're talking about. So it is literally, it's a Magic card. It's just they do the backs blank, and that's how they show that those are artist proofs. There are no artist proofs of anything Universes Beyond. So don't ask an artist for a Spider-Man or whatever, you know. That was not, again, that was not
no
part of the
physical
contract.
Paintings from half of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. But that's all contract stuff. And but with the Marvel stuff, there are paintings. And so
are there?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they're, you know, it depended on the contract and things, but they did, you know, write that in to allow original art sales. And so we've seen, we had the stuff from the Secret Lair at the end of last year, and then they started the spoilers for the Spider-Man set last week at San Diego, so we've seen a lot of pieces.
Yeah, I mean, you mean the same weekend that the current set came out, they started the spoilers for the new stuff?
Yes, there's a whole joke about that. Poor Edge of Eternities. The reason that Seth is using the background he's using is he asked, which background should I use? And I said, well, Edge of Eternities just came out, so use that one. Let's give that set a lot of love. It's an excellent story. We didn't even get into that, why people love Magic because of the story. Because there's not just these cards that go together and this nice art. There is an entire narrative story. Back in the day when you would get, you know, you could get a bundle or other things, they all came with a novel. They came with a paperback novel. Seth must have some. He's starting to move.
No, I don't have them here, but I do have them.
So when you would get a bundle or a fat pack, or the names have changed so much over the years, but it used to not just come with packs of cards, but it came with the novel that had the whole story. Nowadays, the story is available online. They usually release the chapters, you know, per week. I listened to a great podcast where they, you know, basically they narrate those stories. So that's a lot of fun. And the Edge of Eternity story was killer. There's so much development there, and so that's a huge part of it too. Is, you know, I have a huge love for all these characters in the set because I listened to this whole story. And so it's more than just, you know, cards, and, you know, this was the same company that was doing, a lot of other gaming products, and we have D&D and all that other stuff in there. And so it's the same mindset of things being really story driven too. So that makes a huge difference for a lot of people. Yeah. So, but we love you, Edge of Eternities. We're sorry that Spider-Man took your thunder. So, but yeah, so there's original art for that set. And so what I was getting at is that now we also have this crossover, and you see this with other sets too, but like in the original art community, you see the crossover of comic art collectors, card art collectors, and magic art collectors now, and it's been really interesting to see the interplay of that.
Interesting is one word. I know who bought Donato's Mordenkainen and how much they paid for it, and we're starting to see some of the same issues and problems in that universes beyond, where particularly for Dungeons and Dragons, like we know the Dungeons and Dragons side of things. Whatever,
the more people you have who want something, right, then that.
Well, we saw that with
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, right? With the Final Fantasy set, people who want to play the cards can't get it because collectors who love Final Fantasy are just buying it and putting it on a shelf.
Yeah. They're not
Right.
even, it's not even like the singles are available because they're not cracking them. We didn't have an original art issue with Final Fantasy because that's all digital, but that really shows you the impact of a fandom. It's just the amount of products sold for that set was just record breaking. And I'll tell you, I mean, you know, I'm a Final Fantasy fan. I've played probably half of the games, but I was worried that it was going to be fluff, but it's actually very good. It's the mechanics are great. It was well thought out.
I've got a Y'shtola deck right here. We've built a Y'shtola deck. I've got a Terra deck right here.
Yeah, I built Hope online. I don't have it in paper yet, but I will be building it in paper. Sometimes I have decks that I just want to play online. Some mechanics are just, I don't like playing them in person because they're such a pain. I'm fine when Arena does it for me. But,
exactly.
Like I have a bear deck, right? I have Kudo, but that gets so complicated that I only play it online. I don't play it in paper. But I'm going to be making a Hope deck in paper, much to the chagrin of all my friends I'm going to be playing with at a LuxCon. I'm sure nobody wants to see that.
I did a Titus deck, and even I can't keep track of the 1/1 counters. I'm just like, no. If I don't play it for the first game of the night while all of my Ritalin is still working really actively,
and the bourbon is not working really actively,
then we're just not going to keep track of the counters properly. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, it was great to see, you know, how people were excited about it. So, you know, we have a lot of hype for the Spider-Man set coming up. And, you know, I'll just tell people who like to collect original art. I know that, like, look, there's so many pieces I can't afford either. I know how much some of these things are selling for. And yeah, I'm a huge proponent of, like, art collecting is for everyone at every budget. And there are, So like there are a lot of ways that you can still be part of that. Even though there aren't artist proofs, you can still meet artists. You can get signatures. Some people will do alters, which is where they change the art on the front of the card. Right. So if you had an existing, I can't say who would or wouldn't do them, but a lot of artists will do that. So that's something you can ask about. Or
I'll tell you straight up, Drew Tucker does some fun ones.
Yeah. Drew Tucker does fun everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have a Dan and you would like a Dan altered.
Yes. So that's another way to do it too, even without artist proofs. You know, you can ask for alters, you know, or you can get a sketch, you can buy a play mat from an artist and get a sketch on them and have them do, you know, a sketch of your favorite character. So you can be part of the original art with the game without having to, you know, second mortgage your house. I mean, you can second mortgage your house. There's plenty of art in that range as well.
Please don't do that.
So, but you know, with pieces that cost as much as cars, I mean, I just want people to know that it doesn't mean you can't be still part of that and still, you know, there are things out there for everyone. You just have to find what works for you and your budget.
Exactly. You know, when I was making jokes earlier about being priced out, and for a lot of these pieces I am, but like there is nothing that substitutes for, you'd think that, you know, this silly picture of my wife, but you know, 30 years from now, right, we're going to look back at this and go, oh my God, do you remember when we had this thing, this on the back of a Magic card drawn for you at this event? And, you know, there's that emotional connection, that nostalgia connection, that personal connection, right? To tie everything all back to this, why we care about this game and this art, right? That personal connection is going to be there. And whether that personal connection is you paid an artist $50 or $100 for an artist proof on the back of a card, or you paid an artist $100,000 for painting a Mordenkainen.
Yeah.
Right. That connection is there. You hope anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, it's, I think that having that memory, you know, remember when we got this piece, and then it reminds you of that's what was happening at that show this year. Or,
Right.
oh, we were wearing that costume that one time. Like, it just brings back all of the memories associated with it. So not just I got the sketch, but it reminds you
Exactly.
of everything at that show.
Plus, some of them are just amazing sketches, right? Like,
yeah.
I wanted to share with you guys so much that I ripped some of the paint off my wall getting this off.
Must take this down. So good. There are people who do artist proof sketches online, but most people end up getting them at shows. So if you're interested in collecting artist proof sketches, that is usually the easiest place to do it. I can't guarantee who will or won't be taking them, but we are going to have some magic artists, some incredible magic artists at OA Expo in February. And we have another really big announcement that we're going to be making with our next wave. I'm not going to tell you guys early, but just know it's magic related and it's coming. So I'm really excited about that. So, and then of course, when you're at the show and you get your artist proofs and other sketches, make sure you share with me while you're there. I want to see it, see what you got. So Seth, is there anything else about the documentary that you want to share with people before we wrap up today?
That I want to share with people. Besides the fact that my wife and I and Brian and Mary, we always go through that never again, never again. We're never doing it
until the next time.
But right, exactly. Kickstarter people have issues, right? The internet is a recipe for entitlement, but Kickstarter's not exactly the most mental health saving place to be when you're looking for funding for your product.
Oh yeah, I'll bet.
Right. There was even one guy, and I'll share this story because it's amusing. No matter what your project is, right? If you're trying to do a game, whatever, there will be people who kind of stalk your project. We started this project 5 years ago, right before COVID. Our first shoot was as the world was shutting down for COVID. Kelly and I were walking through Dulles Airport, and it looked like the zombie apocalypse. We were the only people in the underground walkway between one concourse and the next. Usually it's packed with like 1,000 people at any given time. We were the only people there, right? So it took us a long time to make this film. So, some of our backers got a little annoyed with that. Then it turns out I had a congenital heart defect and had to have heart surgery. This was in
last year?
Just last year. So January 24. And then I was well enough 4 months later to go to Las Vegas to teach, because I teach intellectual property at the National Association of Broadcasters Convention. And one of our backers said, hey, where's my movie? I saw Seth is well enough to travel. Really? Really, dude? Really, my dude?
Yeah.
So, that sort of gives you a sense of why we never want to deal with Kickstarter again, right?
Yeah, I mean, I understand why people use it, and it is great for a lot of things, but I also understand that it can make you beholden to people in a way that you don't necessarily feel comfortable with all those people. Look, 99.9% of people are great.
Are lovely human beings. But again, if you've ever used the internet, that 1%, right? Yeah.
So speaking of, I want you to tell us where people can watch it now. And then I also wanted to ask, so I'm one of I obviously backed it on Kickstarter. And so for those of us who are getting physical copies, is there a way for people who didn't back the Kickstarter to get a physical copy?
Nope. They are exclusive. We're going to save a dozen for us and for giveaways, but it's cost prohibitive nowadays, right? Like we have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to just get a couple made. So we're not going to pay that extra, right?
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. You'll have access to your digital version if you're a backer, but we are finishing up putting together the assembly of the Blu-ray with all the extras and all that fun stuff. The extras will be available online to backers, right? We'll put that up so the backers can watch all the extras and whatnot. And we might, after a certain amount of time, release it to the public, because I want everybody to see John Avon's interview, right? Like it was a great interview. I'm so sorry I didn't get to include any of it, right? But that stuff will eventually get its way out, because it deserves to be out there, because there are some really cool things that people say and some really great stories that people have. But we are in the process of putting the physical things together. And once we get those made, we will send them out and, go with God and hopefully never, ever think about this Kickstarter fulfillment again.
Well, I know you've all put so much work in. The good news is that people can watch it right now.
Yep.
So where can we watch it right now?
Igniting the Spark, the story of Magic the Gathering. Just type it in. You will see a whole list of outlets right now. You can watch it on Apple. You can watch it on Amazon. You can watch it on Vimeo. There's a whole bunch of places.
Of course, we'll have links for everything down below too, of course.
Exactly. Let me promo the other stuff. The law firm is SethPolanskyLaw.com. The Coven MTG is where we stream Dungeons and Dragons and Magic, and where we might end up hosting some of this stuff because it's the thing we have with the biggest audience. So we might actually throw the freebies up there. What else? You should watch our older movies. You should watch Eye of the Beholder, The Art of Dungeons and Dragons. That is on Amazon. It is, I believe, still free to watch on Amazon.
And spoiler, Chris Burdett's in that. We were talking about him earlier with the pufferfish. Exactly. He is in that movie. Yeah.
We have him in that movie actually being his little goblin tinkerer. So there's a picture of him with his little pot hat on. Yeah. It's literally a pot from the stoveware. Anyway, you should watch that. Of Dice and Men, Brian's first movie, The Plastic Galaxy, Story of Star Wars Toys. All of these things are fun. If you are a geek, if you are a nerd, and you are if you're watching this most likely, right? You will enjoy all of these things. I can guarantee you. So that is where we are. That is what I do. That is what my wife and I do. And I'm going to finish my Y'shtola deck after this call.
Nice. Yeah, and if you are a creative and you're interested in working with Seth on IP or other things, like I said, all the links and everything will be below. I know a lot of artists who've worked with Seth and just are incredibly happy. So definitely highly recommend. It's that business part that, the hard part for a lot of people, right? And yeah, I loved Eye of the Beholder. I really, really enjoyed it. I watched that several years ago. I highly recommend it.
Let it go on repeat. We get like a tenth of a penny every time somebody watches it.
So if you are, somebody who works at home and you like to have things on in the background, just watch it over and over and over and over again. You'll start quoting it. It'll be great. Seth, thank you so much for coming on today. I know this was a little bit of a short notice. I appreciate you making the time. And I just can't wait to watch it again. I know I watched it yesterday, but I'm going to watch it again because I know there's stuff I missed.
That is the best compliment anyone could pay us, right? Like, I want to watch it again. That's the best thing you could possibly say about it, right? So thank you for that. That was a wonderful thing to say. And it's been a joy. Like, I am a nerd. I will talk about this stuff at the drop of a hat, right? You could have told me at like 3:00 today, hey, can you be available at 4:30? And I'll just jump up. I mean, yeah, we're going to talk about Magic. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You probably would have had a deck ready. Oh, I thought we were playing. So
last little aside, one of our Kickstarter fulfillments is Gavin. He's donated some time. So there will be a live streamed game with two of our backers, me and Gavin, in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, fun. That'll be on Coven MTG?
That's where I'll be streaming it, yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. We look forward to that. Seth, again, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching today, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.